Hi, I'm Ben Gajewski, Executive Director of the Genesee Valley Conservancy, and it is my pleasure to unveil this year's Genesee Valley 100 Community Painting Project. We distributed 100 12-inch canvases throughout the region this year and gave artists one simple guideline: paint something inspired by the Genesee Valley. I'm absolutely floored by the results. The number of talented artists, the drastically different styles, and the creativity in this collection is wonderful. This project has truly captured the many types of landscapes that the Genesee Valley is composed of, and makes it such a wonderful place to live and such an important place to protect. Sales from this year's show will help support our local conservation work, but so will sharing the show with your friends and family. It is easy to take the Genesee Valley for granted, and we hope this show will help folks pause for a moment, appreciate these works of art, and remember what a beautiful place we live, full of thriving habitat, working lands, and the importance of saving these places for future generations. I want to thank Steed Energy for not only helping underwrite this year's show, but also I want to thank Glenn for his work last year installing a solar array at our office in Geneseo that offsets 100% of our electricity use. We'll hear a little more from Glenn in a minute, but first I also want to thank the Silver Lake Brewing Project for again hosting this show and putting these works of art in a place where they'll be seen by those seeking them out, but also by those just visiting to enjoy a local brew. This is the third year they've let us punch 100 holes in their wall, and we certainly appreciate their support of this project. Finally, I want to thank every artist that participated this year. Obviously, without you, this project wouldn't exist, but more importantly, your work has helped capture that undefinable essence of the Genesee Valley that we are working so hard to protect. And so I thank you for helping to spread the word on our work and the importance of the landscape that surrounds us. I visited with a few artists to learn a little bit more about their submissions this year, and it is my pleasure to share those conversations with you.
Hi everyone, I'm Judy Soprano and I live in Livonia. And I like to think of myself as being an artist. We grew up on a farm, and it was in Monroe County in Hamlin. And my dad worked on the railroad, and mother didn't drive. So we were alone a lot, and I have very young twin brothers, and I would draw cartoons. I say I'm self-taught, but I've taken an awful lot of workshops and classes. I also went to Brockport College, and I took all of the art courses at Brockport College. I don't have any kind of a degree or anything. My husband, when we first got married, I wasn't doing any drawing or anything at all. Saw me volunteer to paint scenery for a parochial school that wanted to do a nativity scene. So then when he saw what fun I had doing the animals and making the barn scene and all of that, he said, "How come you can't be doing this more?" So he was my biggest cheerleader, and so he, kept me going. I paint every day, and if I don't paint every day, I'm thinking about it, and it's constantly rolling in my head. Sometimes I have to really try hard to turn it off, because I'll go to bed and think to myself, "Oh, I got a problem with that painting," and then it keeps me awake. I don't paint like a plein air painter, although I do paint outdoors all the time, but it's a little more refined than a plein air painter. So for the Conservancy 100, I went outdoors and started the 3 paintings outdoors, and then I came home and tweaked them, and quite a bit. And when you put something out, you want it to be just right and get out what you saw and what you love about the scene. As far as the outdoor time, I can be very specific about that. About 2 hours is tops, because then everything changes too much. The sun is moving, and so you're constantly catching up, which you cannot do. Once you see a shadow the way you like it, that's the way it's going to be. You can't constantly be adjusting it. Then in the studio, I think I probably put in another 8 hours worth of work, but also thinking and looking. And I often, like this painting behind me, I put it on an easel in my kitchen. I'm sitting at my kitchen table, and I look at it for quite a while, and then I decide what I want to change, if anything, which it usually is a lot. And then as the painting grows, then I change it less and less. And then finally I say to myself, all right, this is done. With some things I do just start painting, but with that farm pond, I wanted to make sure that there was reflections. See, that was the big deal, reflections in the water. And then barns, I love barns. There was a pond on that farm that I did the barns, but it was way away from the barns. And farm ponds sort of intrigued me. The stream, that really was just about exactly the way it looked. I got to painting late, and the sun came around, and the sun was hitting behind the trees. And there was a bend in the creek. And that's one of the things I love about the Genesee Valley, is that all the creeks that are really close by. I did 3 paintings. I could have done 10. I could have done 100. I could have done all the 100. There are so many places that I wanna paint. The square canvas definitely was different for me, but there was no restriction whatsoever when you said, the valley. Whoa. And then the other thing too was, when I heard about the Conservancy, I thought, gee, this is important. It is so fun. It is just absolutely so fun. I really think that they're so great to do that, because then the people that see the paintings, it's a different group of people, maybe that people that have never gone into an art gallery. And then they're seeing paintings of all different kinds of styles, and it's amazing.
My name is David Thielen, and I did paint the steadfast oak for the Genesee Valley 100, and I had a great time doing it. Actually, I've been painting most of my life. My journey through art has actually been quite a long one. Always interested in it. Went to RIT actually for it. Once I was done with that, like getting into art is a tough thing unless you're like a specific um, industrial type artist or something like that. So branching out and just being a painter is a very tough life to do. Um, so I kind of just decided to get a job, a regular job, and work a job. And luckily I did that with RIT. So I was able to continue to take classes in painting and woodworking and sculpture and other things that have fascinated me through the years. But it kind of always has just come back to painting. I love painting. And at one point, I just decided to kind of settle and concentrate on landscapes. I really enjoy landscapes. Looking for my own unique style has always been a bit of a challenge. There's millions of great landscape painters out there, and trying to come up with something your own, something that's a little unique, is a very difficult thing to do. People have just explored every avenue, and quite a few people that are in this show that do something that's just so unique and beautiful that it's one of the things I really enjoy about the show. My work that I kind of finally settled on was more of painting in the negative. To start with, I find interesting scenes that I like, and I will take some pictures, and love driving through the Genesee Valley. It's just gorgeous. So I had taken pictures and done some studies. I will take those and kind of do a conglomeration. I'll come up with an original idea to put down on canvas, and I start by gessoing my canvas black, and then I do what I call painting in the negative. If you're looking at my picture, you can see the clouds and everything that I painted and the ground I painted, but I didn't actually ever paint a single tree in this picture. And I don't think people really realize that. That's not black paint. I didn't paint black paint to paint the tree. I painted around the tree. I painted everything but the tree, because that's the black of the canvas coming through that you actually see. So it's kind of unique in that very way, because it's not like you can sketch out exactly I don't sketch out the outlines or anything, because that would interfere with the natural blending of what I do with the canvas. And I don't I don't really paint with black. Like, it's not even on my palette too much, maybe to, tint the color a little bit. But in general, I use the black of the canvas and I'll push the paint very far to get the black to come through the paint to give it that color that it's looking for. So I'll get a unique kind of um, fuzzy feel to the painting in certain areas. I'm a very detail oriented person, and I can get lost in the details. I can get really lost in the details. So actually in painting in this particular way, this style, my mind really has to work to figure out where I need to stop painting and where I need to continue painting to keep the balance of, okay, this limb is going to come this way, so we'll paint around it here, here, and here, and this kind of work the pieces of the painting in little by little, so that I know where it's going to be. This painting only actually took maybe, I don't know, 8 hours, because I'll sit down and I'll paint. And I'll paint for an hour, and then maybe I'll get up and go do something else for a bit, and then come back to it. It's kind of the way I go. Oh, I think it's great. I think it's a really good opportunity for anyone to show their work and get it out there. I mean, I'm a strong believer in the arts themselves and getting as many people involved as possible. It can be kind of daunting at first for a lot of people. They see their picture up on the wall, and then suddenly they're feeling, oh, it's not as good as maybe the one next to it. Even I feel that way when I look at my work and I look at the other beautiful work next to it. I'm like, I should have done A, B, C, or D, but it's good for you. It's really good for everyone, really, to get out there and just push it a little bit, push yourself a little bit, and it's for a great cause, and what could be better than that?
How you doing? I'm Glenn Steed. I'm the owner of Steed Energy, and I am super happy to support the Genesee Valley 100 with the Genesee Valley Conservancy. I've been in the industry about 10 years now. I started my business back in 2014. Our focus is residential and small commercial projects. My interest has always been in just trying to make a difference in the world around me, and solar really has been a fantastic way to do that. On the system at the Conservancy, we have 16 panels on the roof. Everything is mounted directly to the roof. So racking is bolted into the structure of the roof. Panels are placed on top of that. On the Conservancy system, we're using microinverters. So each panel is its own little power plant. The reason we use microinverters are to mitigate any shading issues that would occur on that roof area. So microinverters allow each panel to perform to its maximum potential. And those are combined together and wired down into the main panel down in the basement of the building. The power generated by the microinverters goes directly to the building itself first, I'll say, as a path of least resistance. And then any excess energy goes back through the utility meter. So in the summer months when the system is generating more energy than the facility is using, the meter is actually spinning backwards and generating credits. And those credits are then applied to the bill during the winter months when the solar is not producing as much energy as the building is using. Well, Steed Energy has been really happy to support the Genesee Valley 100 every year now for the last 3 years, and we look forward to continuing that support. The project itself, the work that's come through is just absolutely amazing. It's a great cross-section of the community, a great cross-section of the different scenery that's in our community. You have artists in there, from professional artists down to students from the high schools. It's really a great project. It lets everybody kind of display their parts of the area that are important to them.
Hi, I'm Carlene Van Dusen, and I'm a local artist. I painted Mother Tree and Ridge at Nations Road for the Genesee Valley 100. I went to art school at the Art Institute of Pittsburgh, and then I worked as a commercial artist, a graphic designer. I worked at Sibley's. I was doing newspaper and TV commercials, newspaper ads as a layout artist. Then I stayed home with my kids for a long time. And when I went back, the world had kind of flipped upside down with computers taking over everything. And so I had to find some different things to do. So I started working as a substitute art teacher and as a fine artist. I'm pretty much a landscape artist. I do like the plein air. I like to get out on a beautiful day and explore. It's the best experience because you're enjoying the day, the weather, and you get to take it all in firsthand. And of course you can, get some fresh air and everything and see all the beauty that is around you that you would probably overlook. When you paint outdoors in plein air, it's a French expression that means in plain air. And when you're right out there in the thick of it, your senses take in more than you probably would if you just looked at a photograph. And so I think that I like to just make small sketches, maybe in charcoal or in pencil sketches in my sketchbook. And then I take in little color notes, which is, I'm trying to like make note to myself of what color the sky was or what color the tree was. And then I don't always do a full-size painting, although sometimes I will, if I have time. But sometimes I'll bring it back home to the studio and work on it more in the studio. If I have the time and I have the materials with me to do a full-size painting, like you take a photograph, a lot of the darks will just fill in and look too dark. And a lot of the really light colors can get blown out, in a photo. And the photograph can't see as much as your eye can see. So you can take in more of the subtleties. I like to do like an initial thing outside, but after about 2 hours, 2.5 hours, the sun starts to move across the sky and the conditions can change a little. And so you also get tired, you lose your motivation. So after a couple hours, maybe 3 hours, I probably would call it a day and go home and take it home in the studio. And then I would look at it and maybe come back to it the next day or a couple of days later and just sort of study it. And I might see something that I want to go back and fix, or something that maybe the perspective, if there was a building involved, for instance, the perspective might not be right. So I might go back in the studio and do some more work. I'd say I would like to try for maybe like 60-40, 60% out in the fresh air and 40% in the studio. Both of those I actually did primarily, more than the 60-40 thing. I did primarily plein air. It was nice weather. I lucked out and I got right to it. I had it in mind. I had gone in March. I had come down, pick up the canvases, and I saw those beautiful oak trees and that beautiful stretch of road. And the trees weren't even in leaf then in March. And I had it in my mind all summer long that I was going to go back there and paint those trees when they were in full leaf. I'm looking forward to having all the paintings sell and raising lots of money for the Conservancy.
Hi, I'm Tricia Kuhlman, and I have donated a painting that I did called Middle Falls to the Genesee Valley Conservancy, which is very important to me. It was from a photograph. We were there on a hike, and I took that photograph, and I knew right away that I loved that view and I loved the flowers in front. And then I realized that I would like to paint it. I wasn't sure if I could. I was most concerned that I couldn't get the water. I initially kind of sketched the whole thing, the direction of the water, the rim and the way it was going, and I sketched in where the flowers were. So then I concentrated on the water. I waited until the very end to do the paintings, the flowers, I should say. I was really surprised at how they popped out and happy about it. So it was really fun to do. One of the things that I was really interested in is, if you look on the left side of the painting of the water, there are overtones there was some pink and some blue. And I really wanted to try to capture that. I wanted to catch that and that subtlety. I went out and bought smaller brushes, and I got linseed oil to mix to make it the oil paint more like watercolor. So it went on thinner, and I could do more detail that way. I have done at very small intervals large conceptual pieces. I recently did a piece about fracking that I donated to the University of Rochester. And I did a piece that is hanging in the School of Nursing out at Brockport. And it's a ship that is made up of medical vials with messages. I really believe in the Conservancy, and I really am grateful for the work you guys do. I absolutely love the Genesee 100. One of the big things I love about it is what it looks like there in the brewery when everything's hung. I hope people are really generous and buy lots of paintings.
And now I'm pleased to present to you the Genesee Valley 100. the Genesee Valley 100 will be on view at the Silver Lake Brewing Project through the end of the year during their normal business hours. You can also view the collection of works on our website at GeneseeValleyConservancy.org, where all sales will take place. Sales this year will help support the local artists as well as the Conservancy and our local conservation efforts.